Well, no, that intro is very strong. I mean, it kind of reminds me of when John Forsythe used to do some NFL films.
Short and
The
sweet.
depth, yeah, short and sweet. Well, hey, that's kind of like how we like to keep our shows short and sweet, but informative. And welcome everyone once again to another episode of Happy Hour with Let It Run. John, what do you got on your shot today? Oh, a little IPA action again, attaboy.
Little Hacker Sure Weiss beer.
Nice stuff. That's good stuff. So yeah, we are here. Let It Run again. I'm Freddie Urich with my partner John Costin. John just recently, a couple of days ago, a little while ago, got back from spending a couple of days out of probably one of the best 3 days I could imagine any handicapper would have, hanging at Del Mar for the Breeders' Cup. John had some great company. I saw some of your pictures hanging out with JK and some other big people there. That was pretty cool. So, John, why don't we take a minute and talk a little bit about your time out there, as well as some of the things that you did, because you were involved in one of the coolest handicapping betting opportunities there is, the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge. So let's talk a little bit about that, John, and welcome back.
Yeah, glad to be back, and needed a week to recover, catching up from the West Coast. So, just a whirlwind 3 days out there, and, horse players' dream to be out there in sunny California at Del Mar, to be in a room full of people at the BCBC Challenge, with all fellow like-minded, handicappers, a lot of them
awesome.
professional out there, other guys, partnering up like I did with a bunch of guys trying to make it happen. Just the experiences, the parties that we went to, and, meeting Nick Luck, catching Nick Luck on the way out one night. And then, talking to, like you mentioned, JK, he was at one of the parties. And then I happened to catch up with Ramon Dominguez. For the newer viewers, he's one of the greatest NYRA jockeys ever until he got hurt. And he wound up retiring after that. But, he's got, close to 5,000 wins. He still might be the leading NYRA, jockey of all time. Ramon
Dominguez, a legend. I remember Ramon Dominguez, a legend. Absolutely.
It was wonderful. And then I said, can I get a picture with him? And then we got talking a few seconds. And next thing you know, 30 minutes go by, and just talking with him uninterrupted for 30 minutes. And,
wow.
My guys kept snapping pictures of us sitting there talking. And he's just, talking everything about, teaching me how to watch a horse switch leads. He pulled up a video of Forever Young saying,
No way.
How he goes, look at this last race, he just wasn't into it. He was into the bit too much. He was down. His head wasn't, where it was supposed to be during the down the stretch the first time. So he kind of was leaning Forever Young, to win that race based on what he saw, the issues he had the previous.
Wow.
So seeing some things like that, just a great time there with that. The contest didn't go too well. I think the handicapping was pretty good. If you review Thursday's podcast, where we gave out some unbelievable information to all the guests, Ed, Gus, Fred, myself. I mean, there was signs all 5 races that we gave out the goods that day.
Absolutely.
That was good to hear that we actually hopefully pointed some people in the right direction there. Saturday, not as great as, the favorites, obviously, that won. We were all on them and all, but, don't take credit for that because the whole world was on it. Trying to find the nugget in the rough, that was the key. Friday's card, I screwed it up myself in, myself betting. We had we liked the first three juvenile races to be wide open. And then we liked 2 singles on the back end with Ted Nafi and Gastad. Then we were going to play a ticket, all with 2 singles. And then the last minute, I get some information. I, rethink. I change my thinking. I said I would love to be alive to an all button in the last race and try to beat Gastad. Would be, the dream come true. To see 14 will and a couple of them could be crazy. So I reshifted.
He had a bad post, right? Gastad was outside, wasn't he? He had reason to bet against him.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping. Maybe it caught up, but his time form number, like we did mention, was just so far ahead of everybody else that race wasn't going to be, and it basically ran to like it was supposed to. He won pretty convincingly, even with that trip. So I got cute, tried to change my ticket. I lost the second race single, ran second. and then I paid for it because it, did pay $10,000 pick five that I had on my screen and did not hit the submit button. Changed it, submitted the wrong ticket. So that was my Friday in a nutshell. Even though we hit the first two pick fives of the day when we were live on their Friday, talking about Saturday's races, that we did survive that disqualification, that one race that we sweated out live. And we survived that, and wound up paying like $2,000 for that pick five. So, it made a profitable Friday, but what it could have been is what I'm upset we left it on the table.
Do you remember, the ticket that you said you had up and you didn't hit the submit button? It was all single. What do you remember what that would have cost?
They were huge fields. They were 14 horse fields, 9 horse fields, 14 horse fields. It was $648.
Okay.
But when a group of us went partners, it was definitely doable. And the ticket I put in with a single in the 8 or 9 horse field, then when you're playing the all button in the last race, it took the ticket up to $1,000 just by reversing where the single was and going
where the single was. Yeah.
And that just, was, too much. And I just pulled the wrong trigger for that one. And that, still haunts me now. I keep thinking about it.
We've all been haunted before, John, and we will be haunted again. That's it.
And then just touching quickly on Saturday.
Yes.
There was a sequence there that long 14 horse Ethical Diamond that wiped out everybody that was in that room. Everybody was playing multi races, and the bad thing was it was the ending leg to early pick fives. It was the start of the late pick five. So that was your swing of all swing legs. And if you whiff on that, which we did, everybody did, you're out of the early, you're out of the late. So that just derailed. That's, called a widowmaker, where that was basically, it killed every one of your bets. So we were down and out.
Terrible.
And the one bad thing is I went back to look at on Wednesday before I left and before I got real busy. A couple of friends who always ask me for picks, I sent them my synopsis of the races on Friday and Saturday, what I liked. And I went back and I looked. I gave them like 4 horses in that race, and I included the 14 as a 5th horse that says this is going to be a good under horse at a crazy price. When I just looked at the charts just now, that horse had 7 horses that were longer odds than that horse. So that horse might have been about 6th or 7th choice in a field of 14, which is mind-boggling. That horse should have been 100 to 1. He was 45 to 1 as they were loading in the gate. Comes out down the backstretch. He's now 25 to 1.
Yeah,
he goes
I saw
off
that.
and wins at 25 to 1. So obviously, but if you did pay attention to the pick 3 and double will pays, you knew he was not going to be 47 to 1. You knew he had to come down based on where he was in the
will pays.
where he was in the pecking order for the will pays. So you knew he was going to be 6th, 7th, 8th choice, not 13th or 14th choice. So that was like a little clue, but definitely a horse that could run all day. But my thought there, everybody's thought, he was not going to beat all 3 or 4 of those Rebels Romance. How? He couldn't beat all those champions. I mean, he might get lucky and split them, maybe run 2nd or 3rd or 4th, but no way he's going to beat all 4 of them. He beat all 4 of them. He beat all 13 of them. So, hats off to Willie Mullins, who's a steeplechase, trainer, and he wins the Breeders' Cup turf. So that was, a little deflating. And then, in the contest, that's my last point. We did have Forever Young. We keyed in on him. And in the contest, we did have, $500 doubles riding into the mile turf race. And they were all paying between 21 and 37,000. And we did not include the favorite. We didn't include Notable Speech. So I thought there was value in other places. And, it might have been 15,000 if we included Notable Speech. We left them off. Then my other ticket. So then the last race, the last 2 races, we had 2,000 left. We bet $1,000 daily doubles with Nisos, who was 3 to 5, and 2 horses that I loved in the last race, the 6 and the 12, 6 and 14. So, they were paying 17 or 16,000. So we would have had a nice little profit on the contest if one of them could have came through. And the winner, the 5 horse, the reason I definitely liked him, I thought he had a shot, but not as the morning line favorite. When he was the program 7-2 morning line favorite, I said there's better value elsewhere. So I got off of him because he was the morning line favorite, and I thought he, was capable, but not, worth those odds.
What do you go off
else
at?
thought too. 9-1. He goes
Oh,
off 9-1, pays $20, wins impressively, and the guy that won the contest, that won
yes.
the BCBC, he bet an $8,000 double. His last 8,000 on a 3-5 Nisos and a 7-2 morning line favorite. He bet 2 morning line favorites for an $8,000 double. He gets back 144,000 because of the overlay and the
Right.
prize money. He got a check handed to him for 607,000.
Oh my God.
2 program favorites. The whole contest, that's all it took.
And that's all it took. That's amazing. That all the work that, and you know that, John, you shared with me some of the work you put into this contest, and obviously you're not alone. Many guys do that, but to think that it came down to that, oh boy, that's unbelievable, John. But that's some great information. It certainly sounds like it's a tremendous experience. Clearly, you enjoyed yourself both. Just enjoying yourself there, and as a handicapper, looking at the races and following the races, had to be a great experience. Next year, it's going to be at Keeneland, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct, John?
In Lexington, and one of our rooms has your name on it.
Okay, I like that, John. I want that. I want my name on that room, and that sounds like a good time. I'm looking forward to it already. I know it's 358 days away.
And your roommate is probably going to be our sponsor, who said that he was in as well. He's going.
Okay. Is that one of our sponsors? So that's a good segue, John. Let me get a second to thank Sean, who put our sponsors up here so we could see them a little better. I want to take a minute to thank them before we dive into our deep dive. Not a deep dive. We're calling it now, John, the Let 'em Run Roundup, where we're going to just talk about this next race at Churchill Downs. But first, Case's Pork Roll, family owned and operated since 1870. Cases for the taste. Can't beat them. If you like pork roll, you got to go ahead and get some Cases. And also the vape shop in Hamilton, located on Route 33. They have all your vape supplies and a tremendous selection of top-selling CBDs. I want to thank those folks for sponsoring us and helping us out as we continue to grow, move along, and become better at what we do. And what we're going to do right now is do something I think we do very well. Talk about a special race at Churchill Downs on Saturday, race 11, which is a 1 1/8 mile turf. The River City Grade 3 with a purse of $300,000. Tremendous field, John, of I believe 11 horses in here. Interesting when we get to one horse, we'll talk about that. The 8-horse Legano still has Frankie Dettori listed as the rider. Obviously, somebody else is going to be on him. I read that, or I saw it online on social media.
Yep.
They don't know how that happened. Frankie Dettori's agent said, no way, he's not riding that horse. We don't know how that happened. Nope. So obviously, there'll be a change there. But let's talk about this race here, John. And we'll start with hold on, John. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, now Frankie Dettori, his last mount was in the Breeders' Cup in North America, in the United States. He's going to go down to, Chile, I guess, and run on their big card of the year in Chile and finish his riding career over there in Chile. So that's what I heard, too. When I saw him listed on this horse, I knew, it had to be something. So Fred gave you a little update there with, it is official that he will not be on the horse.
Yeah. So, okay, we'll figure out who that is tomorrow. When you join us on the show at 12:30, Let 'em Run podcast will be on at 12:30. We're going to break down the late pick 5 at Belmont. Some very nice races there to talk about. But today we're going to talk about this race at Churchill, or the race at Churchill Downs tomorrow, race 11. John, why don't you kick it off, brother?
Mount Rundle, number 1, 30-1 shot. Definitely, a closer. Somebody that's not going to be too far back on the rail, saving all the ground. Loves Churchill Downs turf. 2 wins, a second out of 4 lifetime starts. Got to win at the distance. Definitely has to improve and step up to run in this Grade 3. But the horse is definitely improving. The last 2 starts were by far best starts, of the horse's career. Just missed last time for, an optional 80. Now stepping into the Grade 3 here. definitely a tall task, but I think the way the race sets up with so much speed in there, and if he could just
Yeah.
tuck in on the rail, save the ground, angle out, and he has a shot at a big number to come rolling down the lane.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at that horse in the same way you looked at the horse, the jockey. Chard, don't know, not very familiar with him. I think certainly has ridden this horse the last 2 times and ridden him very impressively to put up some nice Beyer speed figures. Beyer par in this race is 99, so certainly does need to improve, but at a price of 30-1, as you mentioned, with the speed in the race, could have a chance to get up and help out some of your exotics, whether you're talking tries or supers. But we'll see how that works out. So the next horse is the 2 Epic Ride, 8-1 morning line, ridden by Lon Machado, trained by John Ennis. There's one of, as you mentioned, John, several speed horses in this race. This horse has barely, but has the best early U.S. pace time form speed figure. Last race, don't know what happened there. Had a little traffic from what I saw. Raced against, some big horses in that Keeneland Turf Mile. One of several horses who came out of that Keeneland Turf Mile against Rhetorical, Program, Trading, Brilliant Birdie. So you're talking about some serious horses. But there's the 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe the 7, ton of speed in here. Not sure how this horse will end up. But he's got 2 races back. He put up some serious fractions. A little short. It was only a mile in that race. This is a mile and 1/8. So it could be a little trouble, a little more distance.
Yeah, it's one of the 5 confirmed front runner speed horses. He is coming out of a mile, which is going to be, that sharper speed, now going a more methodical distance of a mile and 1/8. So he could be the sharpest. It didn't seem like he wanted the lead last race in that, the big grade 1 race. But his only weapon is speed. He's got to gun it and try to hold on. His only victories came, basically when he went, wire to wire. When he didn't get the lead, he's not the same horse. So with all this speed signed on, he could be the speed of the speed, but I don't think he's going to get a breather anytime during the race. Number 3, I was waiting to see if they were going to run this horse today. He was entered in a 4th race for a $140,000 allowance, and he was going to be the probably 6-5 favorite. He was 5-2 morning line, and he looked to be, pretty good favorite in that race, a good spot. But he elected to come here for, a little bit more money, but the, the grade 3. And he's the one that led that turf mile at Keeneland. He was the speed over the 2 last time. So, he's only got one way to go, and he's going to get out there with Leparoux, and get moving too. So the 2 and a 3 were first and second in that race last time, and now they're lined up next to each other. So he'll be out there gunning it as well.
Absolutely. Actually, this is the horse that I look at as one of my long shot plays in this race. And again, certainly one of many speed horses, as you mentioned. I think Leparoux is certainly a quality jockey, knows this horse extremely well. Solid Beyer speed figures that kind of fit. Perhaps, the 2 is a little bit more inconsistent at times. Again, like you said, good point, John. If he doesn't get the lead, he's not going to fire. This horse, last 3 races been in giant fields, 11, 11, 12, just like the 2. But I think this horse is, going to be the speed of the speed in terms of getting out front. And if he can hold on, again, a price 20-1, I like him a little better than the 2 in terms of some of the other speed horses. That would be my choice to look at which horse could possibly hold on and keep going. I think Julien Leparoux has a good chance to do that. But again, another horse that also raced in the Keeneland, as you mentioned, grade 1 turf mile. The number 4, this is an interesting horse for me. Encino, 5-1 morning line, trained by Brad Cox. First time ridden by Irad Ortiz. Flavien Prat gets off. Irad Ortiz gets on. Irad Ortiz had ridden this horse early on, a couple races back, and so he knows the horse. I like this horse a lot at 5-1. I think Brad Cox has this horse ready to go. He won his last race, certainly was not quite in the category as far as a stakes race as this. Has run in some stakes races before, has some speed, but doesn't have to be the lead horse from what I can see looking at the past performances. And I think there's no question that Irad Ortiz, who's been riding lights out, knows that very well. And I think that gives this horse kind of a big edge. And another factor I like is he's going from synthetic to turf. Brad Cox hits at 27% doing that. So I think you put Irad Ortiz on a horse that looks to be a pretty good shot here at a decent price of 5-1, John.
Yeah, he's one that could definitely, not need the lead, but he's going to be out there, up there prompting the pace. But he's one that maybe can sit off the other 3 or 4 on the lead, and maybe he could get first jump, depending on how much he's asked to go early. That last race, the Presque Isle race, there was 5 big scratches in that race, and he turned out to be the big favorite, the last one standing after the scratches. He didn't get a great break. He showed a new dimension closing in that race, but the way they bet him, he laid over the field. I was expecting something like 6-5, and he wound up going off 3-5, and he basically won like a 3-5 after getting a slow, tardy start. He looped around the field and went by him, and they were crawling on the front end, 113 flat, and then he flew home and he circled them all. So definitely, great race there for him after the slow pace, bad start, and he still was able to run by him. But 60 cents on a dollar shows you what he was up against that day. So
Sure.
He's an under player for me. Maybe that could get that, jump on this speed, but the deep closers come flying. I don't know if he can, hold on there. Next one, you got Wolfie's Dynagos, one of the, fun horse. I mean, you're talking, 12 wins out of 30 starts. What's he got? 20 out of 30 in the money, $1 million earner. Just, as fun as they come. Another one that, does his best running on the front end. And if he doesn't get the front end, he doesn't show a dimension like Encino does, where he might be able to close. This one only shows on the front end. And I think the way the pace is going to go in this race, definitely going to hurt his chances.
Yeah, again, another speed horse that's going to be up against it. Probably has some of the better buyer speed figures compared to some of the other speed horses. If you look at his race 3 back at that Mount Laurel, put up a 99 and a 1x4 in a small field. Again, who was he up against? He wasn't the favorite there. He was 6-1. Sheldon Russell was on him, one of the big jockeys who races off and down at Laurel. Now he's switching once again. He's had a lot of different jockeys: Gutierrez, Russell, Velasquez. Went back to Russell again last time at Colonial, and now has Luis Saez, in my opinion, one of the better speed jockeys. You put him on a horse, he's going to get him to the lead, and he's going to give him a good chance. Again, you said fun horse, 10-1 morning line. Brian Lynch, good trainer, so could be another interesting horse, and that's why there's going to be a lot of value in this race. So because there are a lot of interesting horses, including the next horse, number 5, Chasing the Crown. John,
hang on one second, Fred. One
Yes.
second. Point of Wolfie's Dynagos. I was just wondering. I couldn't find out, how did this horse wind up in Brian Lynch's barn? It was in Jonathan Thomas's barn. Doesn't show a claim. Must have been a private purchase or
Private
something,
sale.
but,
Yeah.
it is first time in Brian Lynch, and I don't have the answer. I was looking around to find out how he got there, but not sure. But in the Brian Lynch barn now.
Interesting point. Okay. So the number 5 horse, Chasing the Crown. This is probably going to be my pick, probably going to be everybody's pick, perhaps. Morning line favorite as far as I know. Certainly knows Churchill Downs extremely well. 6 times a race there, came in first 4 times, came in second twice. Has not a little experience at the distance, but Tyler Gaffalione is on him again, put up a nice 100 buyer speed figure at a mile, but, came up a little short. 2 back at 1 1/8 at Gulfstream Park with Edgar Zayas on him, came up a little short there. It was 64-1 in that race. It was a grade 1 race, obviously, won by Spirit of St. Louis. Chasing the Crown came in 3rd in that race at 64-1. Not going to get 64-1 today. And this horse has the best. I think this race sets up for this horse completely the best. 112 late pace, time form pace figure, the best of the closers in this field. Has the Kentucky Derby. I know the Kentucky Downs curse perhaps giving him a little bit of a pause in terms of, although it was all mostly talked about by my new friend and your longtime friend, Ed DeRosa, about the Kentucky Downs curse that was finally broken at the Del Mar at the Breeders' Cup last year. So I don't know if that applies to other races, but this horse ran a nice race at Kentucky Downs last out, big $500,000 race again. We know how those purses are. Was probably the favorite in that race and likely to be the favorite here. So That's kind of how I like this horse, and I think the speed sets up tremendous, John.
Yeah, I kind of, agree everything you said there. Nothing I can fault. 7-2 morning line, I think, is quite generous. You're not going to get nowhere near that. I'm guessing this horse goes off in the 6-5, 7-5, range, something like that. Gaffleone rode a good last time. The coming in the freshest horse for this year. This is only a third lifetime start. All the rest of them had 7, 8 starts, 10 starts, 4 starts, but he's coming in freshest right here. Mike Maker's winning, everything on the East Coast here. So leave him off of a grass race at your own peril. Best closing, and the race sets up so perfect for this horse.
Yeah.
Just a matter of, not getting into trouble and angling out top of that long Churchill Downs turf stretch, and just see him running by. So it's basically, it's going to be my top pick as well. Number 7, Mercantani. Been on this horse a couple times, during the year. Never really, caught him at the right time. He did run against Spirit of St. Louis, missed by 3/4 of a length. Spirit of St. Louis went on to, as Fred mentioned, in that $2 million Pacific that day at Gulfstream, that big the Pegasus Day. So ran in that turf race, just missed at 60-1. So his form holds up against Chasing the Crown. But now this is going to be his 9th start. Last time in that turf mile against those big guns, he really didn't pick up his foot at all. It looks like he's been tailing off form. Maybe, he's over the top for the year. But, one that was in the spring going into the summer was one that I had a lot on all my tickets against all these. But I'm just feeling that he's tapered off a little bit. 4th time off this layoff, 9th race of the year. I think, maybe just needs a break after, this start.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything you said. I don't think he's worth leaving out of any exotic bets, especially if you're looking for, as we have talked about in the past, good prices in superfectas, however you might arrange your superfecta. But, the trainer, Brian Nippenberg, is hitting at 41% overall. I mean, he's 1 for 1 here at Churchill Downs, but got some back class. If you look back, if he can reach back to some of that back class, he might have a chance. I agree, he's tapering off in form a little bit, but Brian Nippenberg, 35%, he hits at getting horses ready after this type of a layoff. So it gives him a little to get into the mix. Another horse, as you mentioned, that did run in that turf mile at Keeneland with some really good horses. I don't know that he had the best trip there. I don't know if that it would have really mattered. He went off at 60-1, so clearly that horse was was up against it for sure. So okay, let's go to number 8, Corruption. This is the horse that's ridden by Jose Ortiz. Jose Ortiz rode this horse last 2 times and rode him pretty impressively. Last time out was at Kentucky Downs. Grade 2 Turf Cup down there with a nice field. He went off at 6-1, had a tough post there in the 10th spot, so that might have cost him a little bit. I don't think this horse is a bad option to use in your horizontal bets in terms of possibly with Jose Ortiz on him. We know how he's been a hot jockey, so at 5-1, I think that's pretty decent price. So I wouldn't leave him out of the mix either, John.
Yeah, kind of agree. Looks like, he look at his running lines, all the horses that he's faced. You got Tawny Port, who ran in the Breeders' Cup. 3 back, you got Deterministic and Far Bridge. You got Far Bridge again. He got beat by Il Siciliano. And then his very first start at Saratoga, he got beat by 31 lengths to our buddy's horse, Carson's son.
Yes.
Destroyed him. So Carson went on to, win, grade 1. So, his running lines that he's keeping has been great. Coming off a short freshening for Mark Casse. He is turning back in distance from that Kentucky Downs 1.5-mile race. A 1.5-mile race at Kentucky Downs is like 1 3/4. So now turning back, coming in fresher. And if you look back to the running lines, back in the start of the year at Gulfstream, and it's a tough turf course at Gulfstream to come from off the pace. And he did it, impressively 3 races in a row down there. So he just showed a new dimension recently by, being maybe the best horse, and that's why they just put him on the lead. But looks like one that could sit just a little bit off it. So maybe, he could sit behind these speedballs, and I don't think Jose is going to get involved in, knowing that there's 5 other speedballs in here that have to be on the lead.
Absolutely.
So he could sit a nice trip in there, and I could see him running for Cassie, turning for home, maybe getting, first jump on the 6, chasing the crown. Number 9, as we mentioned earlier, will not be ridden by Lafranco Dettori. He said farewell to United States Racing. It's the last we saw of him, and I was actually there in person to watch him on his last mount. So happy to
That was cool. That was cool.
Let's see. And I'm thinking last time at Kentucky Downs, they were pointing their whole summer in end of the year to that $1 million race, and maybe $2 million race at Kentucky Downs. They were shooting for that. They were $1.40 favorite, just missed to Epic Ride, who, I guess, stole it on the front end. So maybe this is an afterthought here. That was their main goal all year. But definitely comes from off the pace. One of the ones that you have to use to, avoid that speed. And he's definitely not going to be involved in it. So he could be one of the ones, getting the first run, the 8, 9, trying to get a jump on the favorite, the 6.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I'm very interested to see who gets the mount for trainer Steve Asmussen. That I think is going to be a big factor. Obviously, there's only going to be so many choices that can be made since all the other horses have their mounts already assigned. So that'll be interesting to see that. Again, I agree 100%. Another horse that's going to probably close that 2-back race again at Kentucky Downs, where he closed and won by 5 in a decent field. Put up a 104 Beyer speed figure. I know the Beyer speed figures at Kentucky Downs, I think, if I'm not mistaken, John, you could correct me on this, don't really do they pair up with Kentucky Downs Beyer speed figures pair up with
I don't trust them as much. I don't put as much credence in the Kentucky Downs Beyer numbers. There are other numbers out there that guys would trust a lot more. So I don't even look at the Beyers when they're coming from Kentucky Downs. I don't really consider that.
Okay. All right, so if we go to the 10-horse English Channel, big price once again here, 30-1. Wayne Catalano. How about that name, John? Wayne Catalano. Ridden by Jared Loveberry. Not sure where this horse is going to be coming from. Certainly way stepping up in class. Just broke the maiden about 5 races back. Broke it pretty well in a decent field with Jared Loveberry aboard. And now Jared Loveberry gets back aboard, taking the place of Ben Curtis here. Horse ran a very nice race last time out. Again, came in first. It was 12-1 out there. Made a nice rally to close third off the layoff. Tomorrow, this horse will be third off the layoff. Has been putting in some good workouts to get ready, but not sure the class is where it needs to be, John, to have any impact in this race.
Yeah, this is asking a lot of this horse, and I would use it as a deep underneath horse, to round out my tries and my supers. You don't want to see a Catman Wayne Catalano horse, zoom up there and get third at, 62-1, which this horse, should be, every bit of 30-1 because of the class that he is now jumping into. But he's got the running style that could pick up the pieces, and, you definitely can't leave him out underneath, for third and fourth in your exotics there. So not going to totally give up on him, but it's a big ask, and on the win end it's a lot. Going on to 11, Tappet Shoes, another one that has that time form late pace, can definitely close and pick up pieces. Held a little bit better company than the 10 did, ran in some minor stakes around. Never really disgraced himself, but was always that middle of the pack finisher. A lot of horses in this race beat him, and the races that they ran in beat him convincingly. Laganosa, beat him by 10, and then you go back to Mercanti down there, beat him by 13 lengths. So anybody that has common lines in here, has beaten this horse considerably. His best races come in those allowance optionals. I was going to include underneath, but the more I'm looking at it, this is a tough one. I would, rather the 10 Wayne Catalano's horse to maybe pick up pieces rather than this, 11 here. But he does have a second best late pace figure. So if the race falls apart, another 20-1 that could come running up there.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have to get a good trip from out here as well. Certainly, maybe showed speed a little bit one time, but not much speed. So he's going to have to save some ground, maybe cut over to the rail and perhaps then circle wide when they get to the stretch. But I agree. I don't think I don't have a lot of faith in this horse. I prefer, as you mentioned, the 10 to have a little better chance to possibly, get involved. Well, that's something to look at. We'll take a look at that tomorrow. But we're moving on to the 11, the last horse in the field, Taking Candy, 8-1, trained by Sherry DeVoe. Horse has been working out tremendously for this return race. Kind of off form. Could be ready. Ran in a couple nice turf races at Churchill Downs in the past. The Wise Dan, the Turf Classic against some pretty good horses, including Brilliant Birdie and Spirit of St. Louis. So certainly has a little bit of the backlash. But I think trainer Sherry DeVoe took this horse off the radar for a while since August because it looks like the horse was just having trouble and a little bit off form. Although, the last 2 races out, the horse tried hard, just couldn't close. Even the last race was probably bet down as the favorite in that stakes race. And like I said, the 2 races back. So I think this horse is kind of ready to take a step forward here for trainer Sherry DeVoe. Looks like the horse hasn't missed a beat working out, getting ready to come back. But again, tough post, 11 post. Could be a little tough from out there, John, is what I see.
Yeah, first time back off the freshening here. The workouts have been great, right on schedule every 7 days, like automatically. Sherry DeVoe, can't fault anything that she puts out there. The mile last time, that mile was a little too sharp at Ellis Park, too fast. But then you go back to the more route races and could get in a methodical rhythm and can and doesn't mind the outside posts. When she's 11 out of 12, she wins. 10 out of 12, she wins.
That's a good point. Good point. I didn't notice that. That's a good point.
Posted out. She likes it better being outside horses. Other times she might be caught inside, and that's what didn't really, he really didn't like. So now outside, off the freshening, steady works. Somebody that could pick up pieces again. I mean, that's what I'm looking for is horses that come flying and all the speed to stop and see what shakes out at the end.
Yeah, it sounds like both of us agree that the 5 chasing the crown, the 6 chasing the crown is likely to be the horse we're going to lean on for some bets. We'll cover this race again tomorrow when the scratches come out, but we're going to be together at 12:30 talking about the late pick 5 at Aqueduct. Sorry, not Belmont, not the Aqueduct anymore. Aqueduct starting their fall meet. And so it's straight Aqueduct. No more Belmont at the Big A. We're just going to call it Aqueduct. And we're going to talk about that race tomorrow. So that late pick 5 tomorrow. And we'll cover anything that happens here with any scratches that might affect the speed or anything else. So, John, any last closing words, my friend, as we wrap it up here before we get together again 12:30 tomorrow on Capital Sports Network YouTube?
Yeah, I think the way I would approach this race, since we do like the favorite, I would key the 6 on top. And then the more I'm looking at it, that, Corruption, Mark Cassie's horse, could sit a nice trip and doesn't have to be on the lead. Maybe he gets, second or third. And then with those 2, I would play all the closing bombs underneath it. So I'd play a ticket something like trifectas, the 6 with the 8, with the 1, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And then I would maybe try to get those bombs in between the 8. So I'd play something like 6 with the 1, 9, 10, 11, 12 with the 8 and third and hope to get one of those, 50 to 1s to run second. And, Irad hangs on for third. That's how I see the race. And I'm going to just, if any of the speed sticks around, probably going to be, done with my vertical wagers because I'm thinking they're going to push it and they're all going to, stop top of the stretch.
I like that. So we can talk about that more tomorrow. We'll look at that ticket again and see if there's anything that comes up based on what the scratches are, John. But we will get together again. Thank you for checking out. Don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button for Let Him Run. Once again, John, enjoyed our podcast together. I'll tip one back for you one more time before we go, John. I hope you, wherever your happy hour may take you after today. I think my happy hour is going to take me to
JoJo's.
Huh?
I'm going to
Is that
JoJo's.
where you're going?
You brought it up last week. I'm going to JoJo's tonight.
All right. Well, maybe I'll see you there, brother. If not, I'll see you tomorrow. Always a pleasure, John. I appreciate your insight and getting together with us again. And once again, let's let it run, folks. Good luck. See you tomorrow.
Good luck, everybody. Talk to you tomorrow.